Hello, Colin. Welcome to Awaken and Align. It's so good to have you.
Thank you, Laura. It is absolutely my pleasure to be here. If only the listeners could have heard us just like shoot the shit style for the last 17 minutes. I mean, damn, but it is such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
I know. I feel like I'm meeting for the first time somebody that I've known throughout many, many different incarnations. I bet you we were in like ancient Mesopotamia, like
100%.
carving into the tablets, the astrology for the week.
Yes. Yes, we were. Absolutely. And also getting into trouble in all parts of the ancient world. We might have even like danced the night away in Studio 54
Yeah.
and wound up at like McDonald's where all the best nights end. We probably did it all. We really did. Yes.
And I'm actually interested to know that I'm meeting you kind of at a different point in my life, but I feel like if I had met you pre this like very spiritual phase of my life, we would
Mm.
have gotten into a lot of trouble together.
Yes, I'm just going to say yes.
Pre
Because,
Saturn return.
oh God, right? No, I'm glad the universe is connecting to us now when we have, businesses and projects to run. Because, yes, I have gotten into so much trouble with my Aries girlfriends literally all over the world. So,
Yes.
yeah. I'm glad
So,
we're meeting under these contexts now.
yes, because I feel very much attracted to Geminis. Gemini sits across my seventh house.
Mm.
So, what are your big three?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that we're also, no wonder we have like a polarity energy too, because yeah, wow, that's crazy. My big three, I'm a Gemini sun, like we just alluded to. A Gemini stellium, actually, I have Gemini, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, all in Gemini, and I'm a twin.
Oh,
Young,
hello.
hello, younger by 2 minutes. Like, come on, two is the magic
Wow.
number. So very Gemini. And I am a Leo rising and a Capricorn moon.
Oh, that Capricorn moon.
That Capricorn moon.
That Capricorn moon. My mom's a Capricorn moon. That's why I'm I'm pointing
Oh,
that out.
now we really are family. I know, which is what we were discussing before we hit record. So when you're loved and raised by one, it's cool. It's quite a technique.
Oh yes, I was actually just telling my mom about her Capricorn moon and some of the
Uh,
shadow aspects of it. So,
ooh, do you mind disclosing? I would love to know what you told her so that I can keep that in mind. What did you say if you feel comfortable
well, I
sharing?
think it also has to do with, she spent most of her life in New York, right? And
Mm.
so when she gets triggered, when she doesn't feel safe, the thing that makes her feel safe is working. And yeah.
Listeners can't see, but I'm giving a face like I just got caught on camera doing something I didn't like. Do you know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Oh, guilty. Go ahead.
Also, when she doesn't feel safe or when she needs to feel secure, she has this like very authoritative
Oh, Jesus.
voice. Like she tells me
Oh,
what to
Jesus.
do. She tries to control the situation and
Oh,
the
yes.
people around her.
Laura,
I'm sorry.
100%. No, 100. And my, the last partner I dated called it, oh, you're getting in the out of office tone, are you? Okay. Where I had sent the email, like, and now I will be completing this conversation with you.
Yeah.
And my last ex boyfriend, he said, how come every conversation with you almost sounds like a memorandum? I don't know who you think you're talking to. He's a Sag. So he was like, I don't work for you. Relax. So that Capricorn moon, who are you telling?
Yes.
Oh man, but you know what? I having just spoken on the deficit, in case anybody's listening, right? I do believe on the level of strength where it has served me is it has given me a little bit of a propensity for like resilience and grit. I
Oh,
love
for
to move
sure.
right
Yes,
towards what fucking scares me.
for sure.
And I really actually am fascinated by emotion regulation
Hmm.
and ways in which we can regulate our reflexive responses to emotionally activating situations,
Hmm.
which I feel like is Capricorn, although people often think that it's false compartmentalizing, disengagement, or denial. It's not, it's just the regulating of an emotional reaction. So that's the Capricorn moon shtick.
And if I may say, one of the biggest strengths of a Capricorn moon is being there through the long haul, like having
Oh,
commitment. And that's something that I really do admire about my mom is
mm,
that no matter the circumstances, she is so
mm.
committed. And Because Capricorn is a feminine energy too, right? So
Yes,
like
yes.
very nurturing in a way of being a divine masculine, being the
Oh,
yeah,
ooh,
being a
okay.
container, because you can't have the feminine without having that masculine container of
Yes,
stability and security. So
yes.
when you have a very strong Capricorn moon, then the other aspects of you can really thrive being
Mm.
fertile and creative.
Oh, that was a beautiful way of saying it. You actually just gave me an aha moment because I was just thinking about that today, Laura, that in my relationships, I'm typically not the one to leave
Hmm.
or initiate a departure.
Hmm.
Typically not. I feel like if I commit to you or if I'm with you, we can kick and scream and fight all we want, but I'm sticking around.
Yeah.
So I never thought of it like that. Wow. Thank you for that
Welcome.
reading. Oh my God. It's true. Yay, Capricorn. But man, yeah, we definitely got to work on that tone and that delivery when we're feeling, certain kind of way. I'll work on that.
I feel like I've laughed so much, my stomach already hurts. Speaking of your tone, I shared with you that I shared with you that I found you on Instagram, and when I heard you speaking, it was like ET phone home. I felt like
Oh, phone home.
your Long Island and every time I say Long Island, I'm like
It
Long
comes
Island.
out.
It comes
Right. You got to enunciate the vowels, Laura. Come on. Come on.
that I felt like home. I recognized an
Oh.
accent. I recognized, and it brought back like memories. My college roommate is from Long Island.
Oh,
And it
Jesus.
already felt like a kindred spirit within you. So,
Oh.
can you speak about? And we just like were fangirling about New York for like 30 minutes.
Definitely. Definitely. Because it deserves all the fangirling. Go ahead.
So please tell us about your origin story.
Oh, my origin story. Wow, great question. So I grew up on Long Island, as Laura was alluding to, and I grew up with a Leo father and a Cancer mother. And God bless, they went through both of them, especially my dad, just really significant, emotionally traumatizing situations. And they did the best they could with what they had, with where they were at, and raising me, my twin sister, and my brother. And the origin story was I was surrounded by, or excuse me, parented by a Leo king and a Cancer queen who wanted so much to give so much to their children, i.e., me, my sister, my brother, but really financially struggled. They were not college grads, which as I was being raised, theoretically, was like the gateway to having a job and doing all these things. So they were always working, trying so hard to just make sure that all the bills could be paid and that, my dad saved up for so we could have a mortgage for housing security, like all these things. And looking back on it now, I'm just so thankful for that and all that they did to make sure that with what they could, they gave me and my siblings stability, even though they went through so much trauma. Like it's just, I don't take that for granted. And I know that that's rare. You know, there was still traumatizing situations because, no one gets out of childhood unscathed. Hello. But I've been able to really just look back on that origin from my parents with just deep gratitude and curiosity. And the origin was I've always just been fascinated by mysticism. My mother, like I said, is a Cancer, and she was the one who was talking about astrology in the house because she would say things like, "Oh my God, your Leo father, what am I going to do with him? I'm done. I'm done. Stick a fork in me." Right? I'm like, what are you saying? Right? Your father, he's a Leo, don't you know? I'm like, no, I'm 11. I don't know nothing about this, right? And then she would have to teach me. And I literally remember, Laura, typing in Gemini in like an AOL search engine in like the early 2000s. Okay.
Yeah.
And this rush of information coming at me. And then interestingly enough, just last year, my twin sister found the very first chart I printed in 2002.
Wow.
So I have been interested in how spirituality and how archetypal analysis, we mentioned the superheroes. So I'm thinking of this Sailor Moon and all these little symbols
Mhm.
create our identity and how these symbols are templates for instructive living, right? And then I went to a school in New York City, the New School. I transferred there because I dropped out of Stony Brook University on Long Island. I transferred to the New School at 21. So I was kind of a non-traditional student, and I was studying to become a nonfiction writer and a journalist, or possibly a journalist. And at that time, that's when I started advancing my study of astrology. And because I went to the New School, which is a really kind of radical, subversive, forward-thinking, progressive institution, they kept encouraging me to write and study about astrology, which in academia, that's not always, you know that I can see on your physical face. Like that's not always encouraged by like the academic elite. And I just love the school so much that I stayed to get my master's at Parsons, the New School for Design. And I received my master's in fashion studies. And so I love talking about culture, materiality. Like we were talking about sapiosexual identities. We love when people can talk about politics, economy, fashion, music, blah. And then, long story short, I, in my late 20s, started the website QueerCosmos out of the encouragement and really the demand of many friends and people who were like, stop doing this for free. And just get a website up. I mean, just please, you love astrology. You've been curious about it for years. You're always talking about it. People are always talking about it with you. Get a website. And Laura, I started my website. Well, I was creating it during Venus retrograde in Aries Pisces 2017, if you remember that. It went live on June 6th. And then I was fired from my day job 2 weeks later on my mother's birthday, the day my moon progressed into Aquarius, conjunct my North Node. Wow. And I've been doing this work ever since.
Wow.
I know that was such a long story, but yes, to the origin, I was like, okay, well, here we go. Mom and dad, family, astrology, school over here, you know, and I like to say, I like to talk about it with that vantage point because I really had no professional intention of becoming an astrologer, Laura. I didn't think it was feasible for me. Like I just told you, you know, self-employed, my parents never knew that could be a reality for them. I wasn't raised by any of that. I was raised by a bunch of like blue collar workers and like Long Island Lolita moms. So it's like, who's self-employed? What? Right? You know, so to have that as a possibility never even crossed my mind until I was fired from that job. And I received unemployment from the great state of New Jersey. And I said, all right, you know what? Go Garden State. I said, go Garden State. I said, all right, I'm gonna do this. And miraculously, on the last week of my unemployment, I received my first literary contract by Sterling Publishers. Yay. So I took that as a sign. And a month into the work, that's when Cosmo contacted me and asked me to write their weekly horoscopes. So my career has really just taken shape through so many happy, miraculous accidents, frankly, that I don't take for granted. And I'm just so thankful to be able to have purpose, especially in today's professional culture, you know, during the Great Resignation and everything. The fact that I have work that makes me feel like I have a purpose and that I can contribute something of hopeful value to other people is just, that's holy to me. I can't imagine it. I'm so thankful.
Wow. I believe your story is the perfect example of what I believe is when you set an intention and you make a decision. So you showing the universe, I'm ready. I'm putting up this website, and then the universe unfolds it for you. And it's like, he's ready.
That's right. That's right. And you know what?
You'll get a job.
Boom, boom. I know. And my goal was, right? Oh, I'll start the website and maybe by the time I'm 33, I'll have a book deal. The universe was like, oh no, you're getting fired tomorrow. Okay. But I like what you mentioned about, you know, the intention. I'm curious to know more about where this came from for you, because I do believe that is a fixed sign quality. Yes. And that's something that we learn from fixed signs. We all have fixed energy somewhere. We learn it from our fixed friends. But it's this idea of when you are convicted, and A Course in Miracles talks about how conviction is a force multiplier, and you make the conviction, okay, I'm going to do this, then the universe will self-organize and self-correct itself to provide you with all of the circumstances, situations, events, and relationships that serve the expression of your conviction, especially if it is service-oriented, generous, and meant to uplift the lives of other people.
Speaking like a true North Node in Aquarius. North Node, right?
Well, you know what? Maybe you can discern this for me. So you are not wrong, except the week that I was born, the North Node shifted. So it was either Pisces or Aquarius, depending on what you look at. I actually feel a little bit more connected to the North Node in Pisces recently, just because I love Virgo so much. You know, like I love Leo, don't get me wrong, but if somebody said, where do you think you learned South Node energy? I go, Virgo. Immediately. Like, right? So I could be incorrect, but I do have Uranian energy. There's no doubt about it, you know.
Yes,
So who knows? Maybe you could be
yes.
the ultimate. You could be the arbiter, the sorting hat. Tell me
Okay,
what's my north node.
so I'm not I'm all about fluidity. I'm not like
Yeah,
a all or nothing kind of person. So
that's
I
it.
think both. And I
Yeah,
think
right.
the beautiful part about Aquarius and Piscean energy is they're both expansive. And it's
Good point.
like if the Piscean energy was like an expansive ocean of consciousness,
Oh,
Aquarius is the expansive energy of the cosmos. Both are like infinite. So like I think
damn.
having both of
Speak
those.
poetry to me, Laura. God, go ahead.
No,
It's your bad self.
I think having both, like
Yeah.
if your North Node is in between, that's like an incredible gift.
Mm. Oh,
I think you
I'm,
should do both.
I know. I'll just say both. Yeah, you're
I
right.
mean,
Yeah,
you're a Gemini. You could pick. You
balance
don't have to
both.
pick.
Yeah. What's your nodes?
I have my North Node in Cancer in the eighth.
Nice, 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 nice. So South on a Capricorn, and that's your mother. That's wild.
Yes. And I have a
Oh,
very Capricornian background because
oh, let's hear it.
I used to work in private equity, which is
Oh, very Capricorn.
finance in New York City. So during my nodal return, which was in 2018, 2020, that's
Yeah,
before that I quit my job and I
good for
decided
you.
to pursue a more spiritual, service-led
Mm,
profession. I'm still
mm,
trying to work towards my North Node in Cancer because like those
mm,
energies, obviously being in the North Node, like is something that's far reaching, right? Something that
yeah, we're aspiring.
aspiring to be, which is nurturing
Hmm.
in my emotions. And having my moon and Venus in Aquarius is not necessarily an easy energy for me.
Yeah. What's this emotional shit? Right? No,
Yeah.
I know. I know. Listen, yeah, I got a Saturn moon too, baby. Okay, go ahead. Do you want to say more about that?
No, and I also feel like I also lived in Manhattan for 10 years. Like you
Mm.
have to build a thick skin,
Oh yeah, that's a
especially
Capricorn
being,
city.
oh
Come
my
on.
gosh, and being an Asian woman in
Mm,
finance, I had to really,
mm,
really shut off
mm,
my emotions. So I'm just
mm.
recuperating that back.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think the way that I look at cancer, it's so weird because just before we recorded this, I posted I'm having cancer topics all on my heart today. I look at Cancer as the zodiac sign that asks us, how could we find home within if we accept the full spectrum of emotions we're feeling?
Oh, yes. I love that.
Because isn't home the recognition of, all right, I'm just going to accept I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and I'm not going to talk myself out of it. I'm not going to apply balance, should or shouldn't, could or can't. I shouldn't be feeling this way. What if I just gave myself permission to feel? Right? I don't necessarily need to act from it. That's why I love emotion regulation. And, Dr. Susan David says that emotions are data, they're not directives. But
Mm,
what if I allowed myself to just fucking feel
yeah.
and feel at home within myself by feeling the full spectrum of human emotion? And
Oh,
that's home. I feel like that's home. I do. I could be incorrect, but I
no.
think that's home.
And I love that because the
And
fourth
that's what we've been
house,
talking about all day. Go ahead. Sorry.
but no, no, the fourth house, which is ruled by Cancer, is like the most intimate
Yeah.
house where you could truly just be yourself and you could be
Yes.
vulnerable. And
Oh,
I love that. I love that
yes.
analysis of Cancer. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Because that's the way that I look at cancers. I was raised by one. I have a Mars in Cancer. And I absolutely love Cancerian energy. And you know what I was just saying to a friend of mine today? And this could be totally related or not. You can change the subject if you're like, we're going to get derailed. Is that there was a moment where on like Astro Twitter, I was publicly shamed for a really ill-informed critique that I gave. And I just want to acknowledge that, like, yes, it was definitely, emotionally charged. And I was completely incorrect and unfounded about my critique. And it was really reactive. I was in a lot of adrenaline because I didn't like that a particular vantage point made people feel a little bit more shameful about their charts, right? Because
Mhm.
of, an analysis, whatever.
Yeah.
So I ran my mouth, got in big trouble. And then I thought the whole world was laughing at me because all these Twitter sub threads started happening on Astro Twitter. Fine. And what I was saying to my friend today, though, was that if there was a zodiac sign that mobilized around me, Laura, so fast and was like, do not even think about disrespecting him. It was Cancer.
Oh,
I know. Like, and I
yes.
was just, and it just occurred to me today. And I'm reading about public shaming.
Mhm.
I'm curious about why we use it as a social justice strategy, not critiquing cancellation or anything. I'm just saying public shaming. Okay. And what's at stake for people when they do sort of say, well, wait a minute. Okay, Colin made a mistake. Do you need to personally attack him?
Yes.
Cancer.
Yeah.
Every single person that came to
Right.
my support had Cancer in that chart. I was like, you know what? I love this zodiac sign.
Well, it's also a cardinal energy, so it does mobilize. It does take,
Oh, good point.
yeah.
Good point. Yes, they really did. And I just think about that all the time and how grateful I am for Cancer to like create the home, create the emotional safety, and just say, like, don't come for our family member because we'll kill you.
You bring up such an amazing point about the public shaming and obviously holding people accountable and
Yes.
taking responsibility. And I
Yes.
just can't help witness. I don't know if you're into Taylor Swift's whole Red album coming out. Um,
Excuse me. She's don't. All right. Go ahead. No, I'm interrupting. Are you kidding?
well,
What about Taylor Swift,
she,
Laura?
she also has her North Node in Aquarius, but that's
Yes.
besides the point.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so like her album has come out as a response to fighting the patriarchy
Fuck yeah.
and all these men that kind of fucked her over, right? But specifically, I want to talk about allegedly Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
Right. Specifically.
And everyone everyone trolling him. And I have
Oh
to
my
say,
God.
I'm not excusing his behavior or
Right.
alleged behavior, but
Mm,
there is a moment where that happened 10 years ago, and I hope that he's gotten some kind of
mm,
awareness around his treatment of women. And but he's allowed to fuck up too. Like he was in
right.
a Saturn return. Like
Oh,
I
good point.
I've probably no, I know I've treated people like that too, where I've gassed
Mm,
the people and have,
mm,
been into my Aquarian moon and shut people out and
mm,
gaslighted and ghosted people.
mm,
So
mm,
I think
mm, mm,
there's this balance of,
mm.
yes, he needs to be held accountable if it is him, but also
Right.
like we've all fucked up in relationships. So,
Seriously.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say I am absolutely a huge Taylor Swift fan. I have loved her since Speak Now in 2010. That's the album that converted me. And then when Red came out in 2012, I was actually going through a breakup with a
Me
Sagittarius.
too.
Shut up.
Not a
Shut up.
Sagittarius, but a Gemini.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Wait, so did Red carry you through that heartbreak?
Yes.
I know. I know.
Yes.
Wow, we really are. We are cut from the same cloth. I know. And the fact that she is coming out again, it's just like, oh, it's 2012 called. It wants its emotions back, but like, I love it so much.
And don't those songs like bring you
Uh,
back to that time?
Laura, it was incredible. So it came out last Friday, and I had to go to the city for a work event. And I was walking through the spaces that had the memories attached to that album while listening to the redone one. And I was like, this is out of this world.
Yeah.
This is like returning. It was extraordinary, but oh my God. So, and I also don't think, to that point, I don't think that's Taylor's intention. Taylor's intention is fuck Scooter Braun and all these people who have masters and control over my artistry.
Yes.
Don't attack Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yes.
attack big business.
Yes.
And you know what? I also think that that's where, when we talk about public shaming and holding people accountable, it's like that works for businesses. I don't know if that works for people unless we're talking about a Harvey Weinstein,
Right.
right? Or a person who is in a position of extreme power and needs to be, called out for that and kind of demoted and depowered. But no, I'm with you. I sort of saw where they were going with him, and I'm like, that was 13 years ago. And
Yeah.
we forget that he's dimensional. We forget that he was in his Saturn return. And you know who really helped me think about that differently? Monica Lewinsky. She gave a
Oh my
phenomenal.
God, yes. I love her.
Okay, tell me. You go. Go ahead, Laura.
Well,
I'm
so
obsessed.
I'm going to be just very open and honest that only you can get me to talk about this shit, okay? That's how safe I feel around you. It must be your Mars and Cancer. Um,
you.
so I
You fucking Gemini making me talk. I hate when people
you
do this.
damn Geminis. Well, my ex was a Gemini.
Okay.
I don't have his birth time, so I can't like slip other
Mm,
shit. But
mm, mm.
this was the breakup in 2013 when I listened to Taylor's album, and
Oof,
it was during
oof,
my Saturn return.
oof.
So it was double whammy, yeah. And
Double whammy. Oh my
we
God.
had a 6 year age difference, and
Oh my God.
he used to be my boss.
Oh my God.
And so there was a power dynamic there.
So red.
It's so red. And well, you brought up Monica Lewinsky
Yeah, right, right.
because I understand what it feels like to have a powerful man with so much influence and so much power take an interest to you
Mm,
when you are a young person who's navigating this world,
mm,
and obviously like there were wounds within me that I had not
mm,
yet
mm,
explored because I was
mm,
a 26 something young
mm.
person in New
Yeah.
York City, right? And
Mm.
yet throughout all of that, everyone blamed her and
I
slut
know.
shamed her and not taking accountability for fucking Bill Clinton, who was the guy in power, who was the guy who
100%.
lied, you
Yeah.
know? And he
Yes.
that's all
Repeatedly. No,
repeated.
and you know what? I like where we're going with this because it's almost like leave it to a Gemini Aries to talk about a third space, right? Because the Monica Lewinsky scandal too was really difficult for feminists because I think this was 98, so this is third wave feminism, if I'm understanding the timeline correctly. And so they were deeply disappointed in Monica because they felt that it was regressive. And what they tried to do, some feminist scholars would pin it as if it wasn't a consensual relationship. And Monica was like, but it was.
Mhm.
So this is a story that defies traditional modalities around
Right.
equality, accountability, and justice. It's really interesting in that way.
Mhm.
And then I think because there were so many threads and so many layers to it, they just went right into, all right, so we'll slut shame the hell out of her. We'll
Mhm.
let him get off the hook. He is not impeached. Well, he was impeached, but he wasn't convicted. And then, Monica, you need to go to England for 15 years, and we don't ever want to hear from you basically ever again because it was that complicated. And then
Right.
she came back in 2015 talking about it was consensual, but the power dynamics was deeply inappropriate. I
Mhm.
didn't know any better. And you're right, she was so publicly shamed.
Mhm.
And now we give her a standing ovation. Thank God, she deserves it.
Yeah.
But it's troublesome because the same people that would give Monica Lewinsky a standing ovation might try to take other people down on Twitter and like forget her message of click with compassion.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know. I don't necessarily have answers. I just have this question around why we publicly shame and why shame is the default position. It's like, what
Right.
is going on here? I
Well,
don't know.
Gemini's, what I love about Gemini's is your curiosity and you having
Oh,
just a curious mindset. And I think also what you said, you brought up 2015. This was all before Me Too. Like
yes.
even when
Yes.
Taylor released Red the first time, which was in 2012, that was before all of the Me Too and all of this
Absolutely.
conversation around power dynamics. And now that we have more awareness around these topics, we see it in a different way.
Yes, yes. And I love that is speaking of power, this is actually a great astrological tie-in. I believe that you can't talk about power in astrology without talking about Mars.
Right.
And Taylor is going through her Mars return.
Mars
She's a Mars in
return.
Scorpio. Yes.
And she's Pluto there.
Oh, good point. So it could be a
Right?
Mars Pluto
Yeah.
conjunction. Absolutely. I got to see too where 2012 was at with Mars and Scorpio. Maybe she was going through that again. But yeah, and so
The
for
North
her to,
the North Node was on her Mars and Scorpio.
oh, right, maybe even Saturn too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 20, yeah, right. So bingo. So, she was generating power and thinking about power. And let me ask you, Laura, how do you tease out power? How would you define it or situate it for the purpose and context of this conversation? What's your working definition of power?
Yeah, I think Well, I think it back to like even with my decolonial work, right?
Mm.
It's when somebody has more access to something or influence in some way.
Access and influence, 100%. Yeah. And Martin Luther King defined it as the ability to achieve purpose and effectuate change in 1968. And
Hmm.
I really appreciate that definition too, in addition to yours, because what's implicit is that, look, power isn't good or bad.
Hmm. Hmm.
It depends on how it's wielded, right? And when I think about Mars, I think that we can actually see power as infinite rather than having this kind of unhealthy power over dynamic. And we think it needs to be hoarded and defended and da 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 da. But I would love for us to actually see Mars as a planet that allows us to connect and collaborate and generate power with other people and share it with, and have power to, and have power with others, not power over. And I think that Taylor is doing that beautifully because she's so collaborative. She's bringing people with her. I just think she's outstanding. I think she's imperfect. Who isn't?
Right.
But I'm so happy for where this trajectory is going. And she's speaking about the power of musicians. Why do these record labels
Hmm.
have the legal authority over my art?
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Right. So, anyway, I love it. Monica Taylor, the whole thing. We're going into pop culture,
We're
baby.
we're
Okay.
going, and I love that we could talk about all of this
From an astrological lens.
from an astrological lens. And why don't we get into um, the astrology a little bit more?
Please, I'm
So,
so sorry for taking us on a
oh my
whole
God, are you kidding
new
me? I
way.
knew I knew going on this ride with a Gemini was going to take us to so many different ways, and I'm just here for the ride.
Oh, I love it. And you're a Sag rising, right?
I
Because this is
am.
how I feel. Yeah, see, this is how I feel with Sag. It's just,
It's
I
like
don't like an outline.
I don't like an
We're
outline.
winging it.
Yes, exactly.
But we'll do a good job,
I
please.
fly off the seat of my
My
pants.
pants,
Off the way in.
that's it. I love it. And that's why I have so much fun with Sag. Because, like, and it'll look like we're prepared. We're not, but we're
We're
doing a
not.
fucking damn good job. We're pulling the shit out of our ass like everyone else. All right. No, I'm just kidding. So, yes, we'll talk about the December astrology, right? Because that's when this is going to be published. 12/12, back to December all the time.
I'm so spontaneous and like I go by my feelings. So this could
Right.
come out tomorrow or this,
Today.
who knows, today, right after.
Right. Because we're still in the Taylor moment. And you know what's funny, Laura, when you said, I just feel like the colors that are the most present right now, because we're
A
talking about how
red.
this is like that. Okay, so just before this went recorded, I said, this has got to be the most beautiful autumn on record. And then Laura said, it's true. I always pay attention to the colors. And I like just loved how you reflect on that, like the mindfulness. And when you said red, I wanted to be like, did you listen to Taylor Swift's new album? But I was like, girl, relax. You did not come here to talk about another Sagittarius woman. You didn't. Chill. Okay. So I'm so
I can't
glad.
I can't get through this without laughing.
Well, because this is I get Gemini Aries. We're just like, now we're really gonna let it go. But
No.
yes, thank you for giving me the space to be that just disruptive. And now I guess we'll
Oh my
structure the
God.
conversation on December.
And by did I listen to all too well? I was on my couch in the fetal position crying.
Oh, okay. So yes, and my mom got me a multicolored light. So I was listening to All Too Well with a really dramatic red light in my room and crying. And just like in the fetal position. So I was like, this is such a moment right now. This is such a fucking
Oh my
dramatic
God, it's
moment.
such a moment. It's haunting me. I hear it everywhere I go, and I'm just like,
Yes. Damn it, Taylor.
damn it, Taylor.
The tweets are killing me. They're just like, okay, so now that we've all listened to All Too Well, thousands of times, is everyone doing okay?
I am unwell.
I know. I'm unwell all too well, okay? Anyway, I love it. I love it. Oh, we got to go to a Taylor concert, Laura. Seriously.
Can we please?
Done. That's where we'll
That
meet.
would that has to be our ultimate meetup in real life,
Done.
IRL.
Done. And I'm actually I'll bring one of my friends who is a huge Taylor fan, Charlene Luong, and she is a Capricorn. Who knew? But she's like,
Oh, hello.
I don't often find Capricorns like loving how confessional and emotionally expressive she is. She is way too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, she loves her. So we'll all go to a Taylor Swift concert. Done.
Let's do it. Okay.
Gemini connector. Okay. Focus, Colin.
Well, I just wanted to first mention today we are recording on November 15th, 2021. We're a
Yes, we
few
are.
days away from this lunar eclipse, and we're still in Scorpio season.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to get your thoughts on the eclipses because
Mm.
we're closing out this Sagittarius Gemini
Mm-hmm.
axis,
Yes, us.
us basically, which I'm actually really excited for because this was transiting my first house, and I felt
Mm.
like meh.
Oh, the South Node. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
oh,
not easy.
I do not recommend.
I
Um,
don't recommend.
don't recommend.
2 stars on Yelp. Okay, go ahead.
But no, I just want to get your thoughts on these eclipses and any
Yeah.
last wrapping up thoughts about the last eclipse on December 4th.
I actually have a question for you though, because I feel like I could listen to your intersection of decolonial work and spirituality and advocacy and metaphysics too. How do you connect to eclipses? Because everybody has like a kind of different, I don't know, imagination around it. So how do you connect to an eclipse?
I believe we are multidimensional beings, as you refer to as to Jake Gyllenhaal, who is a Sagittarius sun, and
How dare you bring up fucking Jake Gyllenhaal
who
with this
hasn't dated
fucking
a
eclipse?
Sagittarius man for 3 months? Let's be honest.
Okay. Laura, you know what? After we do this, we might have to have a spontaneous live and be like, listen, bitches, this wasn't planned, but I was just on her podcast and we are just rolling. Fuck the Virgo conversation I have to have. I got to talk to an Aries. But yeah, who hasn't had their heart broken by a Sagittarius in their early 20s? Hello. Were you living?
And he's a Leo rising with a Gemini
Oh,
moon.
okay. And Taylor's a Cancer moon, presumably Leo rising. We don't know her exact rising sign.
Yeah. So
Yes.
anyway, I
Anyway,
don't know where I was going with that. But, oh,
you,
multidimensional being.
yes, like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay. So I believe we have destiny and free
Mm.
will. And I believe there
Oh,
are times when we take the seat and we can decide, right? And then there are times in life when fate or destiny takes over. And I believe eclipses are those times. I
me
believe
too.
they're fated. And I believe there's nothing we can necessarily do but to observe and surrender and kind of like go on cruise control. Not that
Mm.
we're just like like victims of what happens, but I
Yeah,
ultimately think whatever shifts is meant for our highest good. That's just my personal belief.
that's beautifully said. And I love that you brought it as a destiny, free will intersection. I think that's really fascinating. So I know a lot of astrologers recommend not, connecting with the energy or manifesting with eclipses. Would you take that stance as well and just kind of sit back and watch what the universe manifests for us? Or do you typically do a ritual or a ceremony around it?
I do more of like a meditation ceremony, and
Oh,
I ask
okay.
like what is that serenity prayer? Give me the
Oh, yes,
courage
baby.
to um change what I can.
Accept what I cannot change and the wisdom to know the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay. I loved how you framed that. And that's why I was like, let me just see where is Laura stand on eclipses. Yeah, I think for the December 3rd solar eclipse in Sag, if you are in the East Coast part of the world, it's December 3rd, is for us to really generate a different vision around our lives. I think what I love so much about Sagittarius or people like you is they help me know that yes, the circumstances matter and the details are important. Thank you, Gemini journalist. But ultimately, circumstances aren't going to get us out of the mess that we got ourselves in. Problem identification is one thing, vision is another.
Mhm.
You know, so what I love about Sag is they remind us, okay, it's the 11th hour, it's not midnight yet. What vision am I holding to generate different possibility from a solution oriented approach so that we can get ourselves off the cliff? And
Mm.
we can also be thriving, not just get ourselves off the cliff. What vision am I holding so that I could become the person that I want to be? I really do believe that Sagittarius reminds us that, like, freedom, what is our ultimate freedom and what is the space that we're exploring? Oh, I don't know, our own minds, you know? And Sag reminds us, like, look, Laura, Colin, everyone listening, you have the right to think whatever you want to think. Just cross reference what you're thinking and how's that working out for you so far, please?
Mhm.
And that's what I appreciate about Sag is that they remind me of the power of perception and how I perceive perception, how I experience an experience. And they're just like, watch your lens very carefully. right? And what vision are you holding where you can acknowledge the circumstances and the intricacies of the problem and also have a faith-based vision to generate solutions. Otherwise, you only know 50% of the story and you're no use to anyone.
Wow. So I love solutions based at anything because I think
Hello.
if we don't take action, they're just concepts. And I'm asking you because you have a Capricorn moon, but also you're a New
Mm.
Yorker. Do you think that is a
Yes, I
you
already know.
have to take action? You're like, yes, I'm not even
I know. I'll take action by saying yes, because I know where you're going with this. No, I don't. Do you want to finish the question? Because I think you were going to say, like, do you think that's a part of us being
well, I
New
think
Yorkers?
my one of many qualms about astrology and the spiritual community is like throwing
Oh,
around concepts and
oh.
these metaphysical ideas. But what's really gonna change is changing our behaviors, changing, like taking action.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
is that something that non-New Yorkers, non-Capricorn placements Colin is making the most amazing facial expression.
Yeah, it's cold. I'm so done with this one. Okay. Do I go ahead? I want you to say the question. Mm-hmm.
I can't even get my questions out.
Do I think that because we're Capricorns, Capricorn influenced people and New Yorkers, we're like, yo, if this information isn't instructive, shove it up your ass?
Yes.
Yeah. 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 Yes. It's
Okay.
fucking true. Laura, I'm so with you. That's absolutely one of my biggest qualms with any spiritual, personal development, astrological conversation is if this does not come supplied with an applied behavioral analysis, which by the way needs to be thoughtfully peer reviewed and co-referenced by multiple sources and thinkers, shove it up your ass because
Yes.
it's fucking meaningless. It
Yes.
has no use and it can't be practically applied.
Yeah.
There's a space where, like, if it's just theory and data integration, well, then go stare at your own asshole. But
Yes.
if you want to actually apply and talk about behavior, then that's where the spiritual rubber meets the road.
Exactly.
100%. And behavior, cognition, emotion, these are, cognitive behavioral therapy model. And it just allows us to really experience astrology than just believe in it.
Right.
Because now we're applying behavior. Now we're talking about changing results in real time. Do I think we always need to have a utility lens? Not necessarily. But do I think this time maybe demands it? Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about that. So thank you for getting my fire started, Miss Thing.
Gemini Sagittarius is, ruled by Mercury and Jupiter, and they're
Yes, baby.
conceptual belief
Mm-hmm,
planets, right? But you
mm-hmm.
need the cardinal energy to take action. You need to
Yes.
reapply that to behavior
Ooh.
change.
Yes. And you know what you're making me think about? How the three modalities interact, right? So yes, cardinal is okay, so what now what?
Hmm.
And then you know what I love about fixed signs is that they put forward, which is kind of radical if you stop and think about it, Laura, but like systems of behavior modification,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Like the 12 steps,
Hmm.
like thinking about habit stacking. Thank you, James Clear.
Hmm.
Thinking about Brene Brown's shame resilience model.
Yes.
There are systems for this,
Yeah.
so I couldn't agree more. So like, yeah, cardinal initiates it, fixed signs go, and what's the system and how do we do this? Okay, good, operationalize it. And then mutable says this works, that didn't, let's go back to the drawing board and keep it the fuck moving until time fades into eternity. And that's
I love
basically what
that.
what happens. Yeah.
I love that.
Oh man, I yes, I just love you so much. This is crazy.
This is insane.
Soulmates meeting. It's so true. I could not agree more about the behavior part. And I also think that's where, if we don't talk about behavior, I also think that we are then often maybe kind of dancing in foregone conclusion territory
Mhm.
and essentialist thinking and
Mhm.
making the uncertain certain.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think? Hot take, Sag.
Well, I have witnessed a lot of weird spiritual shit going on 2020, 2021 with like the uprise of conspirituality and just like spirituality distorted with white supremacy and
Yes.
colonialism and anti-racist things. And I want to be very clear about what I say and how I act. And whenever somebody opens up my page, I want them to understand just by looking like what I stand for and
Mm-hmm.
what I believe in. And
Mm-hmm.
I think you asked me in the beginning how this relates to like the decolonial work.
Mm.
And I think it is really having that spiritual understanding, right? We chose to wake up at this pivotal time in history,
Good point.
but that means we have a responsibility to liberate everybody and have justice for all. And that is my feeling with Gemini and Sagittarius is releasing these dogmatic beliefs, releasing these beliefs that
Yeah.
don't serve us, and moving towards Gemini and having curiosity for other people's experiences. And maybe again,
The
it's
shrug.
what's that thing you said about, can you please repeat what you said about New Yorkers and how we're like kind of forced to live with each other?
Oh, yeah,
You said
yeah,
it so much
yeah.
more eloquently than I can.
No, please. No, I really love what you said though about how decolonial movements is justice for all. Not to sound like we're, kind of memorizing the Pledge of Allegiance here, but it is. It's about access and liberation for all.
Mhm.
And even let's say it like whites from white supremacy. They're affected too,
Totally.
obviously very differently, but like they need to unlearn the myth of whiteness,
Mhm.
right? So anyway, Jesus Christ, we could talk about this for hours, and Taylor Swift and Monica Lewinsky and all these things. But no, so Laura and I were bonding over the fact that there is something really remarkable about living in New York City. 'Cause I want to say we have 11 million people in the 5 boroughs. And because most of us don't have cars and we're in the MTA, subways, buses, et cetera, we are literally always around other people. New York City is this great experiment of let's put all these millions of folks together without a whole lot of boundaries and see what happens. And so we had to learn to thrive there, how to maintain social adaptability and social skills. We did not have the luxury of like going into the car and driving home. We didn't have the luxury of not having huge long lines at grocery stores. Like it was just always around people. So it can be exhausting, but it's also such an amazing kind of crash course on connection
Yes.
that I don't think any other city in America could even possibly compete with. You just couldn't. And then the irony is, most people think that New Yorkers are mean and we don't know how to socially connect. It's like, that's not true. We just don't value politeness. So miss me with that bullshit. Okay. And we are direct because time is money and I got to catch the F train. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck between Roosevelt Avenue and 59th Street. So can we hurry up, please? And I love that. But no, I think that to be a spiritual seeking New Yorker is asking about its utility
Mhm.
and how does it apply to relationships?
Yes,
Always, always.
always. And actually, when you were just talking about that, because I do associate New York with being Capricorn in nature,
Mhm.
do you feel the same way?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay, okay, because
Without
my
a
theory
doubt.
wouldn't have worked if you said no.
No, you would have been like, oh no, listen, it's your theory. Go ahead, let's hear it. We could disagree.
Well,
I find that hard to believe, but go ahead.
just because Venus is in Capricorn and it's going to be
Yes,
retro. Oh my God, is it going? It's going to hit your moon.
it is. Yes, and your South Node too, right?
Yes,
Okay.
with
Oh
Pluto
God,
there, right?
Jesus.
Um, and it's going to be there until March. And
Hmm.
what you were saying about New Yorkers aren't rude, they just value time as money. And I think about Venus and Capricorn as like, how do you spend your time? How do you spend your money?
Yes.
And
Oh,
does that align with your values? Because time is money,
hello. I know, for
right?
real though. Yes, and like time and attention, most precious non-renewable resource we have. So
Totally.
who's spending it for you?
Ooh,
You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you giving it away to?
yes.
And that's big Capricorn energy. Like, what I love about so yes, I do believe New York is a Capricorn ruled city. Although I want to say someone told me it was founded during Gemini season, like June or May. But no, it feels very Capricorn to me. And you know what else I think too? It's very like, go make your dreams come true. And
Yes.
also like stiff upper lip. It has a lot of like our old English programming, keep
Mhm.
calm and shut the fuck up. It also has some of that I think radical responsibility too. That's what I really love about being a New Yorker is we're all inspired to just take theoretical, like 100% ownership over who we are, who spends our time, and are we aligning our life with what we value? Because
Yes.
if we don't, other people will do it for us,
Right.
and then we're going to be broke.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and also the fact that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and
mm,
sometimes it takes a little while to make it in New York,
yes,
before it spits you
yes.
out.
Yeah, okay, yes. And I think that maturation process, that Saturn process is so valuable. It actually makes me think about another book that I read just recently, not about shame, but it's by Dr. Sarah Lewis. And she teaches out of Columbia, Harvard, and Yale, I think. And it's all about mastery.
Hmm.
And she looks at mastery, obviously from a decolonial perspective, as the pursuit of the ever onward almost and the divine dissatisfaction of a goal forever out of reach.
Oh my goodness.
Miss Thing, I know.
Wow.
I know. And she begins by she opens the book by remarking on how she watched the Columbia archery team, the women's archery team, and how like they would miss when they tried to get the bullseye. But the archer's paradox is if I hit away from the target, something will happen along the way to help me hit the target.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
and that like mastery is constantly that
Yeah.
ever onward almost, that
Mhm.
the ability to maintain perseverance. It's and that's what I think New York does.
Mhm.
I maybe LA too, I don't know like about that, but I know that in New York you gotta fucking earn your stripes.
Yes. And obviously we're biased because we're both
A little.
raised a little. But I love
Not
that.
totally.
Well, it
Right.
also reminds me of that movie Soul. Did you see that movie? And how it's
Yes,
not about the destination and it's not
I
about the goal, but the
know.
journey and like looking at the beautiful leaf that falls from the tree. I
Oh,
could just cry.
cry. I know. And see, they say aquarium moons are emotionally detached. Cry, Laura. Cry, God damn it. Yes, that is so true. What a full circle moment.
It's such a full
Yeah.
circle
And like,
moment.
go ahead, say more about that. That was just beautiful. Go ahead.
Well, I think also in this life, right, we want to achieve our dreams. We want to
Mm-hmm.
manifest, especially if you're a New Yorker, you're so fixated on the goal.
Mm-hmm.
But really, if you can focus your attention on the essence and not the form, which Capricorn is the form, right? Like it's the skeletal
Mm-hmm.
system, but
Mm-hmm.
focusing on the essence, which the opposite sign is Cancer, and like the
Mm-hmm.
feeling and the essence of what you crave. I think that's true joy, and that's really manifesting your dreams.
Yes, yes, and yes. And here's what I'll say, because we definitely got very like OD New York pride because fuck yeah, we did. I will say that actually I see that that strategy and that process very presently in my friends from the West Coast.
Hmm.
They do. They move a little bit more slowly.
Hmm.
They're a little bit more thoughtful about the process. They really value space and time and a sense of pleasure
Hmm.
to counteract hyperproductivity,
Hmm.
right? And I forgot which poet said this, forgive me, but that the West Coast, Los Angeles is very horizontal, New York is very vertical.
It is.
Right, New York is very much like look up, go bigger, go higher. Come on now, that's all you got. Let's see what you can do here. Blah 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 blah. Can you handle this? Vertical, vertical, high, high, high. Los Angeles is very horizontal, where it's just like let's take a moment, look to the left, let's look to the right, let's see this. So maybe that's why the two cities need each other in a certain sense. We'll give them
I
that.
love that. I love
We'll give
that.
you that. All right, nothing else. No,
Well,
just
that
kidding. I
also
love you.
well, that also speaks to the North Node moving into Taurus, right?
Mm,
The activation of pleasure
yes,
and having
yes.
the Venusian energy.
Yes. And you know what? I really love Taurus energy actually from a context of sufficiency. I don't know if you've read anything by Lynn Twist, have you?
I
You might
haven't.
have. No. Oh,
Wait,
she's an
wait, does she write books on money?
yes, the fuck she does. See, of course you knew her. Go ahead, Laura. Come on, because I know we went to the same school somehow. Because how we have these same ideas, I'm like, did we go to the same course? Wait, so what do you know about Lynn? What do you know
Wait,
about Lynn?
is she the one that wrote Soul of Money?
Yes, the fuck she did.
I read that book. about sufficiency and having enough
Yes.
money and yeah.
I mean, and that's what I think of when I think of Taurus. I actually, wait, am I going to be this Gemini? Yo, check this out. Hold on a minute. I have the book and I'm going to read the passage if I may.
Yes, please do.
May I, Laura? Because I just presented on this the other day. And this is so amazing. You ready?
Ready.
Sufficiency resides inside of each of us, and we can call it forward. It is a consciousness, an intention, an intentional choosing of the way we think about our circumstances. In our relationship with money, it is using money in a way that expresses our integrity, using it in a way that expresses value rather than determines value. Sufficiency is not a message about simplicity or about cutting back and lowering expectations. Sufficiency doesn't mean we should strive or aspire. Sufficiency is an act of generating, distinguishing, making known to ourselves the power and presence of our existing resources and our inner resources. Sufficiency is a context we bring forth from within that reminds us if we look around us and within ourselves, we will find what we need. There is always enough.
Oh,
Come on.
wow.
Come on. And like, let's bring Lil Miss Lynn, okay, to the decolonial movement.
Yes.
Because colonialism, correct me if I'm wrong, largely propagated for free labor and the acquisition of land. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
The
So if we have
scarcity, yeah.
Because of scarcity, because we thought scarcity promotes we don't have enough.
Yes.
So we have to go and accumulate a mass amount of enoughness in order to feel enough.
Right.
Sufficiency is the way that we repudiate scarcity.
Yes.
Right. And I think, frankly, that's a Taurus ruled theme, sufficiency.
I love that because when you think of that word, you think of like just enough, but what she's saying is gratitude for what you have.
Already have. Yeah. And then she goes on to say, and I really love this. Hold on. Sufficiency is the truth. Sufficiency can be a place to stand, a context that generates a completely new relationship with life, with money, and with everything that money can buy. I suggest there is enough in nature, in human nature, and in the relationships we share with one another to have a prosperous, fulfilling life, no matter who you are or where you are on the spectrum of resources. I suggest that if you're willing to let go of the chase to acquire or accumulate always more, and let go of the way of perceiving that world, then you can take all that energy and attention and invest it in what you have. When you do that, you will find unimagined treasures and a wealth of surprising and even stunning depth and diversity.
Wow.
From page 75 of The Soul of Money, Transforming Your Relationship with Money and Life, Lynn Twist. Everyone.
Everyone needs to read that for this eclipse season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and so we were talking about resources here. Now let's bring it to the individual. Laura, what would our lives look like if we felt that we were enough exactly as we are?
Mm-hmm.
And didn't have to prove, perform, people please, perfect, pretend. None of it. What would our lives look like?
We would be more generative. We would be more fertile.
Generative, fertile, yes, and kind to ourselves and other people. Right? There's so much there. So anyway, that's to me the lunar eclipse and Taurus message, which I'm glad we're like starting it out with a passage with a reading because we have 2 years of it. So if we don't get it on Friday, right, we will have 2 years with 6 months intervals in between to really optimize these messages. So yeah.
I love it. Well, I want to honor your time. So
Speaking of time, no. I
don't
want to go.
Your time, but I just want to ask you one last question because I don't want this to end, which is why you have to come back.
Yeah, done.
I had all of these things I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm so glad that I really got to know you and talk to you because I feel like I got
to know you.
I literally could talk to you all day.
Yes, we're going to at a Taylor Swift concert in between her songs, and then we'll go out to dinner. It's gonna be too much,
and we're gonna cry.
Yes,
talk about it.
Fetal position. Yeah. Yes.
But your platform is called QueerCosmos.
Yes.
And I really, really wanted you to talk about that name and why it's so important to you and your message for the world.
Oh my gosh. Great question. Thank you for giving me the space to discuss it. I think that the name QueerCosmos came about because my co-founder, who's my best friend, her name's Christina Shinyi Mui. She is a Sagittarius sun, Aries moon, Pisces rising, first generation Chinese American, Brooklyn born, bred and buttered, baby. Okay. So when we were talking about like what we would create to put working ideas out into the world, we thought of QueerCosmos because we were trying to queer the cosmos, queer spirituality, queer some things, because that's what queer is. It's a verb. It's an identity, of course, but it's also an active, generative, participatory energy, which is to question, to queer. So QueerCosmos says, well, wait a minute, are you sure that's true? Says who? Can we update our facts a little bit?
Mhm.
Right? Does this work for all people or just you? Because new theories are only good as its ability to work new data, and that theory is not working with the new data. So can you think of a new theory, please? That's
Mhm.
QueerCosmos, right? And I wanted it to be a space of provocative discourse between people who are coming at identity and relationships from a bunch of different places. And that's why I host Instagram lives with people who are sometimes astrologers, sometimes not, and we're just having conversations about the questions that help us live into different answers in our lived experience. So that's where QueerCosmos comes from. And the message for the world, oh my God, if I could, it would sort of be a summary of what Esther Perel teaches, which is that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our relationships.
Yes.
And I mean, there is no greater resource than when we are loved and loving towards others. And I think what I would love to help other people understand is that relationships are hard. And so we have to educate ourselves and onboard and skill up the competences required for relational health and relational functioning. I would love to help other people cultivate the theories and the behavior research based findings that support relational health and relational success. Because yes, if it's the sole determinant of our life quality, that's great. But also, before COVID, loneliness was the number one public health crisis among global health practitioners. Loneliness.
Mm.
Without connection, we have significant cardiovascular and cognitive degeneration. So people are lonely and they're being locked out of this sole determinant of their life quality. That breaks my heart. So that's what motivates me above all else is how can I provide people with the resources and the tools to connect with the relationships that determine richness and depth and intimacy in their lives. That's what motivates everything I do.
Oh my God. You're such a beautiful soul.
Oh, stop.
Like, you're actually, I think I might cry. And the
Oh,
way that an Aries would cry too. But like,
like just
I'm-
one tear through the waterproof mascara.
no, it's just,
Oh,
this is why I have hope for the future because there's
me
people
too.
like you out there
And you.
who are so aligned with your purpose and you're
Mm,
sharing your gift to the world. And I'm just so grateful to the cosmos that I found you and that you answered my
of course.
email.
Of course, of course. Oh my God. No, this has been absolutely one of the best interviews I've ever done. And it's completely a testament to you and your curiosities and your questions in the work and to many, many more experiences and conversations and work that we're going to collaborate with together. I can feel it. It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
So thank you so much for your kind words and giving me the space to talk about a range of topics. You were amazing.
Oh my gosh. See you at Taylor Swift concert.
Yes. Bye.